Hello everyone and welcome back. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about how to take care of crickets. No, not my chameleon over here, how to take care of crickets. Crickets are, in America at least, the most popular feeder insect for reptiles and amphibians. Now, they're really easy to take care of. They're really easy to find at a store. Like, you can go to any pet store that has reptiles and they'll have crickets. You can go to reptile stores, they'll have crickets. You can order them on the internet and they'll have crickets. Just, I don't recommend ordering them in the winter. They'll die pretty easily. But basically, how do you take care of the crickets? You're gonna need a container for them. I recommend a bigger container, like this one, or even something even bigger. I used to keep I'm pointing over there because that's where I have my container, but I used to keep my crickets in like a little hermit crab cage for like the first 4 years that I had reptiles, until I finally realized they were all dying because that was too small. Now crickets are kind of territorial, especially the males, and as they're adults, they can kind of fight each other a lot, and they'll end up dying if they don't have enough space for them to each have their own territories, and so that's why you need a bigger container like this one. What I did so that it can house the crickets is I just like slit a hole through the top and completely tore out the plastic, and I do have window screen right here so my crickets can't jump out. It's not just wide open. So I glued that in there so then they can't get out. So what's inside of the container? I'm gonna make sure there's no crickets on here, because if there are, then they're gonna get all over that place. This stuff, it's egg cartons, like from if you buy eggs at the grocery store, then this is like the kind of part of the container that they come in. I just like rip those up and throw them in here. I have like full sheets of the egg carton in here. The reason behind why you even put this in here is so that then your crickets have more surface area to climb around and escape from one another, because like I said, they can get pretty territorial and they'll fight each other. And so if you have something like this, then they can crawl away from each other and they won't be super close to one another and be able to fight each other. What do you feed them? You feed them, well, I feed them two things. I feed my crickets potatoes, just cut up potatoes and throw them in there for their water. That's, as odd as it sounds, that's how I give my crickets their water, because putting in a water dish, that'll spill really easy, that'll evaporate pretty easy, that'll, like a lot of the baby crickets will drown in there. It's just not a great idea to put in a water dish. Some people like put in a sponge. Some people will put in water crystals is what it's called. It's like little pieces of plastic that whenever they hit water, they expand and they absorb the water. And a lot of people will use that, and that's fine. You can use those. I just don't use those because potatoes are a little bit healthier. Than the crickets can eat the potatoes. They get water. They also get nutrients from the potato itself. And feeding crickets, that's something that not everybody does. I actually didn't for quite a while. And then as soon as I realized the importance of feeding crickets, then I started doing it. So why you even bother to feed the crickets is, one, so they stay alive longer, and just so that way you don't have to like run out to the store all the time to buy crickets. If you feed them, they'll live a lot longer than if you don't feed them. The other reason why is to benefit your reptile, like your lizard or your frog or toad, even a smaller snake or whatever you're feeding the crickets to. It's really important that you feed them. Like I said, not everybody does this, but the term that us reptile keepers use is gut loading. That means you want to get your crickets, or whatever feeder insect it is, you'll take your crickets and you'll feed them a ton of food, so that way they get full of nutrients, and that way then whenever they're fed to the reptile, then your reptile gains the nutrients that they need. Now, a lot of people, like, the comparison that they'll use is using the bug itself as a vessel to carry nutrients into the reptile. Now, I really like that term. I feel that it's very accurate. Because the truth is that if you don't feed your crickets, if you don't feed your feeder insects, then you're just feeding your predator, your lizard or whatever it is, you're just feeding them an empty shell of nothing. There's nothing inside of the crickets. There's nothing there to make your lizard healthy. You're just feeding them an empty shell. You've got to fill your crickets with nutrients. You've got to fill them with food. So that way, whenever you feed your lizard or whatever it is, like your frog or even a smaller snake, like I said, then they're getting the nutrients as well. Now, like I said, potatoes can be used, and what I feed mine for protein, I have sitting on the floor. I feed mine a mixture of cat food, because my little sister has a cat, and oats. Now I take cat food and I take oats and I mash them up real into like a fine powder, a nice fine powder, and then I also mix in some reptile calcium, just so that way my crickets themselves have calcium in them, so that way whenever I'll get to this in a couple minutes, but basically one important thing that you have to do is whenever you're feeding your reptile, you have to put calcium on the insect and then feed them to the reptile. I'll tell you in a minute, like I said, why you have to do that. But a lot of times, like if you spray your cage down and stuff, that'll take away the calcium off of them. And so my theory is that if you feed the crickets calcium, then they can carry the calcium into the lizard. Because like I said, your insect is basically just a vessel to carry nutrients from the bug into the lizard. And so that's my own personal theory. I'm not sure if it's ever been proven that actually works, but I do that just because I feel that it helps. So, now for what I was talking about is the calcium. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this stuff that's up here on top of my chameleon cage. I don't always keep it up there, but this is Exoterra's version, and then this is Terra Fauna. They make this. I have 2 containers for 2 reasons, or for 2 separate uses. This one is without vitamin D3. What is vitamin D3? Or, you know what, I'm going to back up a little bit. The entire reason why we even feed our lizards with this stuff is so that way, well, the sun in the wild, I'm going to back up a little bit again. The sun in the wild will cast down its rays and benefit your lizard in multiple different multiple different ways. It'll give them heat, it'll give them UVB light, it'll give them calcium, or like it won't give them calcium, like it doesn't like rain this stuff, but it'll give them vitamin D, which allows your lizard to synthesize calcium, and it'll also give them vitamin D3. Now, this calcium is without vitamin D3. It's important that you do have calcium with and without vitamin D3. It should say right on the container, like right on the front of this one by Terra Fauna. It's called ReptoCal. It says includes calcium and vitamin D3. Now, the importance of using vitamin D3 is because it's a mineral that the sun should naturally give to your reptiles, and it's just a vitamin that your lizards need to have. There's a piece of grass in my hair right behind me. So in the wild, vitamin D3 is a natural thing that your lizards should be able to synthesize, and all reptiles will synthesize. And the thing is, though, is that this is very strong, and so your reptiles can easily overdose on it. So how often you're going to need to use this is every other week. So every other week, I would dust this once, like one feeding every other week. So like if you feed your lizard every other day, don't feed them like for a straight week with just this stuff, like just for one feeding every other week. So your lizard can overdose on this stuff if you feed it too much. So like I said, do it every other week. Don't do it all the time. And this stuff, this calcium without vitamin D3, I use for every single feeding, just because it can't hurt to feed them very often with it. I actually had a lizard, my first lizard had calcium deficiency, which led to metabolic bone disease, which if you don't know what that is, it's a lot of times people call it MBD. So if you're ever on like a reptile forum and you hear MBD, that's what it is. It's metabolic bone disease. Basically what it is your body gets calcium, which helps your bones develop properly and strengthen. If your body doesn't get the calcium it needs, your bones will get like crooked and stuff because they'll be like almost like your bones will be mushy. They won't be as strong and sturdy as they need to be. They'll be all mushy, and so if you don't feed your lizard calcium, they'll get metabolic bone disease, which will result in them getting crooked bones, which is not exactly fixable, kind of, but not exactly. If you do feed them calcium, then their bones will get strong again, but their bones will still be crooked for the rest of their life, and that's not fixable. So it's very important that you do use calcium. Now what I do, how do I get the calcium on the crickets? Once again, right up here. I have 2 separate containers. One with vitamin D3. I just dump this in here, not a whole lot, and then I dump this in here. I have them color coded with the lids. I have this one with the blue just because this container has blue. But anyways, what you do is you take your bug, you put in some calcium in here. If I can get the lid off. You put a little bit of calcium in here. You throw in all the bugs that you're going to be feeding. Put the lid back on, screw it on tight. You shake it up a bunch. Give it a good shake like that. And then a little tip is before you open it, I'd tap the top a bunch. So that way the calcium all falls down, and whenever you open it up, it doesn't go all over your hands. And then you unscrew the lid, take it out, and your crickets will be all white. They'll look like you're like playing in the snow or something. They'll just be covered in the calcium. That's what you do for both of these things. It's the same exact thing, just different calciums. And so it's, once again, it is very important that you gut load your insects. Otherwise you're feeding your reptiles just an empty shell of nothing. And it's very important that you supplement with both of these vitamins. If you made it this far into the video, then I thank you for watching this. If you enjoyed it, you can leave a like down below. If you didn't like it, then you can leave a dislike. If you enjoyed my content, you'd like to see more of it, you can subscribe to my channel and hit the little button in the shape of a bell, so that way you get notified whenever I post new videos. If you have any questions or anything, then you can leave a comment and I'll get back to those as soon as I can. And once again, I just thank you for watching, and I hope that you all have a great day. God bless you.